التدرج في طلب العلم, that gradual stage. What is it like? What does it look like? Number one, there's something called مرحلة التأسيس. مرحلة التأسيس is when a person, he focuses on building the foundation. Are we all together, brothers? Allah tells in the Quran, أَلَمْ تَرَ كَيْفَ ضَرَبَ اللَّهُ مَثَلًا كَلِمَةً طَيِّبَةً كَشَجَرَةٍ طَيِّبَةٍ أَصْلُهَا ثَابِتٌ وَفَرْعُهَا فِي السَّمَاءِ. When the foundation is strong, تأسيس, you build a strong foundation, whatever you build on, it becomes very strong. صح? That's why it's important that you strengthen the foundation. So when you're studying every science, there is books which are that stage. It's called مرحلة التأسيس. You're building the foundation. Now guess what, brothers? Sometimes what can happen is that when you're building from the ground onwards, there can be holes inside the ground. That holes, filling it up might take some time, way before that it even gets visible on the surface of the ground. Does it make sense? So that might take some time. The first one is marhalatul ta'sis. You build the foundation. Once that student does marhalatul ta'sis, he builds the foundations, he now moves on to marhalatul tadleel. Marhalatul tadleel is higher, which is you're now looking for evidences. You're now going to want to know what is the evidence for all of those masail that I looked into. Are we all together, brothers? You looked at a book, it just told you a phrase. You took that phrase, you memorized it, you learnt it. The next stage for you is what is the dalil for this statement. That's the second stage. Don't jump one stage from the other. Because if you try to look for the evidences before you could, you're going to get confused, because now you need, how do you extract a ruling from this issue, from this verse or from this hadith for this particular issue? That's going to confuse you. So the beginning, all you focus on is what the scholars call تصور المسألة تصورا صحيحا. It's to perceive this mas'ala in a correct manner. Are we all together? Number two is looking for the evidence. That's the stage where evidences get involved now. قال الله تعالى قال رسوله صلى الله عليه وسلم. Now evidences, you're introduced to evidences. I want to stop over this issue of evidences. مسألة الدليل. In Aqidah, it's agreed that the dalil is Al-Quran wa Sunnah wal Ijma'. And Qiyas is not in matters of Usul al-Din, masail which are Aqidah related. Evidences in fiqh are what? Al-Quran wa Sunnah wal Ijma' wal Qiyas al-Sahih. There are extra additional evidences that are disputed whether they are evidences based on different madhahibs. شرع من قبلنا, the legislation of those شرع من قبلنا, the legislation of those who preceded us, your مذهب أهل المدينة, etc. Or the سد الذرائع, for example. These are adilla which is مختلف فيه, evidences which are disputed on. This is why you shouldn't jump to looking for evidence at the beginning. Because what is an evidence? What is a dalil? حتى مسألة القياس, حتى مسألة القياس, أبو الوليد الباجي رحمه الله mentions, حتى the issue of qiyas, even though all of the madhahibs agree that, inshallah ta'ala, we're talking about the four madhabs, even though they agree on qiyas, the way they all take qiyas is different. For example, madhab al-Imam Ahmad rahimahullah, في باب العبادات, it doesn't accept qiyas. حتى في باب الجنايات, it doesn't accept qiyas. في مذهب الإمام الشافعي, he accepts qiyas, but he doesn't accept it in these issues. No, he mentions in his majmu', which is the sharh of Muhadhab by Ishaq al-Shirazi. The point is, the second stage is where evidence gets introduced. The third, inshallah ta'ala, is marhalatu al-ilm al-muqaran, is where comparative knowledge comes into place. You're now looking at al-mujizun wal-mani'un. The third stage, now you're looking at who is it that permitted this, and who are the ones who said it's not allowed. Are we all together? You're now people are introducing to you views and opinions. Again, this is the problem. A person who's fi marhalati ta'sis is looking at what? He's looking at comparative opinions. He's looking at this scholar said this, and this scholar said this, and this can be very poisonous. We mentioned before, it can be very detrimental to someone. The al-ilm al-muqaran, comparative discussions, they come what? They come very, very late. You don't introduce that to the person straight away. One of the great scholars, so a lot of the great scholars, حتى ابن القيم in his إعلام الموقعين, he mentions that Ibn Hazm's books, Abu Muhammad Ibn Hazm's books, a student of knowledge should take that later. مع إمامته وجلالته, his knowledge and his greatness, but because his books have what? A different approach in the way he deals with the masail, he said that a student should be introduced to those books at a very later stage of their life. Are we all together? حتى I read in the tarjama of Shaykh Abdul Aziz ibn Baz that he used to ban the students who حتى in marhalatul magister, he used to say to them, don't read Abu Muhammad ibn Hazm for now. Later read it later. Are we all together? Now you see a person who's reading the Mughni of Ibn Qudama, and he's reading the Majmu' of Imam al-Nawawi, and he's reading these books that are khilafiyat. Back in the days it used to be called khilafiyat, now it's called fiqh al-muqaran. Khilafiyat and fiqh al-muqaran is a synonym now, it's the same. So students are now reading al-khilafiyat or fiqh al-muqaran, and they're at the beginning stage. So a student of knowledge, at-tadarruj. First you have to do marhalatul ta'sis, and then marhalatul tadleel, and then marhalatul ilm al-muqaran. And then you jump to the fourth stage, which is at-tahrir. At-tahrir means the two opinions that you looked at, you're now going to strengthen one opinion from the other. You've reached that level. You have ulumul ala. You have the instrumental knowledge that is required. You know what am means, khas means. You know what mutlaq and muqayyad, mujmal, mubayyan. You know these muhkam and mutashabih. You know these terminologies in usul al-fiqh. Dalalatul al-alfaz, which is one of the biggest chapters in usul al-fiqh. You have some understanding of it. Not only that, you've also studied mustalah al-hadith, the science of hadith. Is the hadith sahih? Is it not sahih? You've studied so much. So now what you can do is tahrir. Tahrir means you can sift through the opinions and say, this is the one that I believe that is right, inshallah ta'ala, and even that is subjective. Somebody else might look at you and say, no, that isn't right. It's open for difference of opinion if these issues are masail ijtihadiyah. Last but not least, which is the final stage, the student goes to marhalatul takhassus. After having studied nearly all of those sciences at a very good level, a person is always going to be inclined to a particular science. He's going to say, you know what, I like this science. This science is what my heart is inclined to, and so I want to specialize in the science of hadith, for example. Or I want to specialize in fiqh, I love it. Or I want to specialize in usul al-fiqh, or nahu, or sarf, or takhassus, specialize. But now we find people specializing, and they're saying to you about other sciences, marartu la adri. Yeah, I've heard about that science. Yeah, I've heard kind of things of it. Are we all together, brothers? A student of knowledge, of course he can't specialize in every science. But you have to have some understanding of just about every science. An understanding, a matan or two. Take something from every science, so that inshallah ta'ala, if your mas'ala fiqhiyya goes into takhrij al-furu'i ala al-usul, or it goes into qawa'id al-fiqhiyya, or it goes into matters of mustalah or nahu or sarf, whatever it may enter, you can read to a good level. And then you can specialize in another topic. This, my brothers and sisters, is what I think, inshallah ta'ala, is a must. And the qa'idah, according to the ulama, is man ista'jala shay'un qabla awani uqiba bihirmani. If you hasten something before its time, you'll be prevented from it. So if you jump from one marhala to another without having to go through it properly, it's going to be seen in your speech, it's going to be seen in your words, and those who know that what you're saying, you don't know it, you're just saying it, and you're speaking from no understanding of the religion.